b'shas I was my own personal goals. I wasn't I just took the words of the Rabbi, the words of that I was taught in about Emunah, about B'tochen, about Trachgut v'Zayngut, about the power of Teda Mitzvahs, about the who I really am, I'm a Yid, not thinking about all the things that the Sahara wants to bring into your head, pushing them away. In short, I took the words of Teda literally. In other words, we have everybody today is focused on the Sechel that we Yechida here Chavchas. Listen, now it's Tafshin Nun Aleph, today is Tafshin Pei Aleph. And amazingly, the Rebbe starts the Sechel off, everybody focuses on these clips. So at the end of the Sechel, the beginning of the Sechel, the Rebbe starts off talking about Harenu and the Flos Harenu. And the idea that it has to be Harenu, that was them, the whole thing of B'tochen is to be B'tei v'nirach anigel. It's not enough that Emunah that the Eibush does is good, and therefore we're able to go through the pain, but rather we have to have the Arenu. And now today we're Tafshin Pei Aleph, also ploys Arenu, and it comes and even from we should see the ploys, and this is not just what we made up. It's actually brought down a Sechel from the Rebbe about ploys Arenu amazingly. So the idea is to look at the words we're learning Teda and take it for with a pshutas that this is an emes, not allowing outside ideas coming in and questioning and asking and forget and this is about for the few minutes I have over here. I'd like to share with you a few thoughts. First, focus on the Sechel that we just said, the plus Harenu. The second thing is. Along with the hard words they hear that the Rebbe says that everything was helpful. I mean that's such painful, crying words. The Rebbe worked so hard and gave himself some Siddur Nefesh to everybody. Siddur Nefesh, it means giving away from his own time. Where the Rebbe could have been growing in his own by himself. Mamash gave away from himself to every single Yid. And he says the only explanation could be because when you're talking about something which is the primus haratzon, something which is the essence of everything, if the essence is there, you have it. If the essence is not there, you can't say I got part of it. Actually, the Rebbe says even the Golus'dike, even Golus Pnimi, that is hashem. The idea we have to get the essence of all we're doing in shlichus and all we're doing in Afas Mayanas Chutza. Has to be Mashiach, and along with the simcha of being successful in daily aveda, there has to be the knowledge and the heavy, the hard and the knowledge. As long as Mashiach doesn't come, it hasn't come yet. If I comes and the Neshama come today, we are there's an aspect of Havlarik. It has to be it's like a businessman. If he has to make a profit at the end of the day, if without that, all the business he's in. It doesn't make him a businessman. He has to come up with what the themes of everything is. So and one more point is there has to be Eidos that tell you in the few short words that Rebbe says over there. He does put in there should be Eidos that tell you taket kelim l'tikun. So the focus should be not only on kelim l'tikun, there has to also be you have to ask yourself is it Eidos that tell you? Meaning is it strong Eidos that were very connected with Eibush? Is it Eidos that are stronger above and beyond the Hagbolos that we're living in? And this is the way we bring Mashiach. So, and obviously, finally, 2000 cant that Gosh is Afasiyim, that Pashaton, and in Teda Mitzvah. So, I want to start off with a story that the Rebbe said about the beginning of the Nesias about the Rebbe Rayatz, and when he was in prison in Tafresh Pei Zayin. And he describes, look at the Buddha, he describes very, very detailed, he describes the Seder Hayim in prison. Obviously, these type of stories, if going through the Buddha, for me, there was a lifeline. And he describes how one of the things they do in Russia and actually do in America also in jails, they take away from you the watch. Amazingly, they don't give you a watch. The Rebbe explains this is because they want to make you feel subjugated. They want to overcome you. And in America, they do also in very sophisticated ways to make you feel less of a person, less to become institutionalized. So the Rebbe goes the whole. So how did the Rebbe figure out to say the Hayim? Through how do you know the time? So he writes the Proteus. They figure out the time through the Seder Hayim. that he knew in the morning they brought the hot water to the people, so he knew it was 6 o'clock. So then the Rebbe goes into the whole discussion of Moshe Rabbeinu, and he was in Har Sinai. How did he know the time when Elam has? He was above Hechef from Welt. So he says, but Malachim saying Kodesh, 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 or Malachim saying Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem Kedei, is that's the way he knew what was the night and day. So this is what the Rebbe writes in Kutli. But the question the Rebbe asks, Sechel, you're talking about two opposites total. One side, the Rebbe started describing a place called prison, whatever that thing in Kastarama, a place of the lowest of depths. And here, Mitamol, the Rebbe gives a switch to talking about the highest of heights, Moshe Rabbeinu and Har Sinai, where he's above the world. What's the movement of the thing? And the explanation is Pashat Derech HaChaim, the way a person is able to overcome, a person who finds himself in goals, or finds himself any limitation, any difficulty first surprise himself as a goals, Panimia goes from the outside, who's not in goals today, in that respect, or goals tries to swallow him up. So if how do you get out of this? How do you get out of it? In a place called prison, how do you pick yourself up? The answer is look at this. Look at the matzav about they took away your watch. You don't know time. Don't focus on the matzav where you see it here. Look at it as it's l'mayla. Look at how it would look in Kedusha. The way everything originates. Look at where it starts from, and by focusing there, then you can pick yourself out of the Pel Mamish. It's not. I can tell you personally, and this is obviously the time is not here for a detailed elaboration of it. Personally, this is mamish the way it works. It's not something which you learn in a Chassidus shir, or you Chassidus, and then you think it's a hypothetical. When you take and you could be in the most lowest of places, but you take whatever you're living through and you put it in what you said. It's not talking about Har Sinai, Mitamol, Har Sinai, and Mitamol, the time. And all the pain you're suffering is transformed. This is what means living with Gula. Living with Gula means don't look at the Golus as a Golus of punishment and the Shredakite. Look at the whole thing where it starts from, and how it's kind of lachem dov made. How you could not be living Gula in Golus, but getting out of the Gula, which is and how. So the answer is like the Alter Rebbe says in Tanya. What's this based on? How can be Korev? The Kitzer, he says because you have the Neshama, because you have the Keiches, Bem is the Hashem, Hashem you're looking for. Is Bem is within you. So we talk about Mashiach, everybody hears the word Mashiach, right away you transform, this is something way beyond me. Of Bemis, it's Mamish within us, and I'm not sure, I didn't listen to the previous Fabrengers. But I'm sure somebody mentioned it. He has it again. There's a remember standing by Fabringen, and the Rabbi asked a question. One of the tefillahs that's very close that I ask many people. At Shosh Golem, we say he rots him by Psichasodom. So over there, yes, it's Kain Bon and Mishkir Shakosov. Right? So everybody, as a young bacher, as a not only yes, it's a Gashmi, it's a Ruchnis, das is Hashem, it's a Gvura. It's a bit of a uplift you get over there, and in front of a Sefer. So the question is, where's it? Who's this person going on? On Mashiach, and it's the Haftarah that we read the Achash Pesach. So the Rabbi asks, how do we say in front of a Sefer V'Iskayim Bonu? When what do you want to be Mashiach? Well, this is a request to become Mashiach. What's going on over here? Maybe you want to say you should have ruch. You want to have the ruch. Is good, but where come this kind of mikra shakosov elamai? The answer is because every year does have a chelik, a nitzutz of Mashiach. In which way? Every year has in the Neshama. The Neshama there are 5 parts. Neshama Chai Yechida, and b'meila. Mitzad Yechida shebehuz Mashiach is Yechida kloli of Klal Yisrael. He awakens Klal Yisrael, and every yid has that Yechida. B'meila mitzad the Yechida can bet the Mebishn azol Galus and the Golus'dike part that's never in Golus. So if you find yourself in a place called prison, you find yourself in Golus. How do you get out of Golus? You can't do Golus'dike things and get out of Golus. Pare had Eden tied up every which way because nobody can get out of it. In time, you can't get out. You need the Eberstein in the mountain to get out of Golos. So what's that teach? How you get out of Golos? You have to connect to the part of yourself that's not in Golos. And what's that? Your Neshama, and more specifically, Yechida Neshama. That part of your Neshama, which is not in Golos. If you start living with that part of your Neshama. So then the question is how you live with Yechida. What is Yechida? So you learn and you find that Yechida means the part of the Neshama. The Yechida is called Yechida because it's Yechid with Ebershter. It's always one of the Ebershter. There's parts of the Neshama, your Machshav de Beramaisa, your Sechel Midas, of the parts, even your retainers, the parts of your Neshama that could be fadreit and caught up, or be at least mu'urav, mixed up with Ra. So if you're going to rely on your Sechel, on your midas, and no matter how good you learn, how good you understand, if you rely on that to build your to get out of your goals, you're not going to succeed, because that part you can't do it a lot with that alone. You have to go. You can. In there, you see that it's as if important. Rabbi explains over there. There's barely Islam Safrab. Even a person could be in a matzav. They think there could be a mekara that could be mixed into Sechel, and that's where machlekes come from. The Rebbe says, and that there could be things that comes in. But when you work with Yechida, then you never make a mistake, because Yechida means that part of your neshama that says azay and nitandish. That means if it's getlichkeit, I'm with it. If it's not getlichkeit, I'm not there. That's a simple thing. So you always, that's what you used to see. You look in Shulchan Aruch. Look at my two cant. When it comes to Ma'aser Peil, you can't in Svaras come to dingen. When it comes to Ma'aser Peil, when it comes to machlekes, there's no reason for machlekes. Machlekes is not going to get you anywhere. It only degrades everybody. That is Avos Hashem. Avos Yisrael, you get somewhere. A component of Yechida means living with the Eibishter in every way which you can. So your Sechel, you dedicate to learning Torah. Your Midas, you dedicate to helping your Yid, Avos Hashem, Midas Hashem. But what's the foundation of it? What is the how do you what's the foundation of your Sechel? That is Yechida, that deep connection with the Eibishter. How do you megali Yechida? How do you see that you're working with Yechida, you work with Sechel and Midas? Yeah. So the answer is that's my part of the tzavos. That's clearly that Mesiras Nefesh. When you do a mitzvah v'hiddur, we're not making chochmas. Yeah, but you have a challenge. You have a challenge, and that challenge is met with a clear way. That's the hiddur mitzvah and connect to Eibush. That's the yechida working, and you're not to look for ways to soften up your connection with Eibush. That's yechida. I wanted to share. There's a Maimon in Torah Eir. There's a small piece over there. The Alter Rebbe explains and this pasha to bring out what Yechida is, where you can have two opposites. When a person only is going one direction, only cut into one kav, then it's very possible that kav is his own thing. That's his only tias. It's not really Avodas Hashem. But when he's able to do two kavim, then that comes taka from the emes. He's taka connected with Eibush. He's doing good taka with his Yechida. So what do you see that? So the Meister Azara brings it in the Gemara. And the Azara brings the Meister the Bechibra Tradin. There's one that started doing Malchus, and he visited his Rabbi in Kismo, who was sick, and the Bechibra Tradin was burnt. We say that in Kippur. He was burnt with the Sefer Torah because he was learning Torah B'Rabbim, and then the Romans were prohibited. They had the shuls closed. They were flattening a curve, seems like, and that the shuls closed, they couldn't learn. So it was dangerous. You can get killed. So the Reisim Kism says that I hear that you're learning Torah with B'Rabbim. They're gonna kill you for it. You better stop it. So the answers. Yerachim, Hashem Yerachim. David Stachmanos haben. So he answers him back. Ich rede mit Dvar all time. What do you answer Hashem Yerachim? And the Gemara doesn't state what the Bechina answers him back. It's an interesting conversation there. In other words, the Bechina said, this is the way it has to be. You have to let him tell you, have to keep it going. He's talking about Yechid Mesiras Nefesh. Mordechai brought out the Mesilas through the Mesilas Nefesh. I brought the Munah in the Eibishter to Asisa Mitzvah. He brought them out through Mesilas Nefesh. Dafke. When you find yourself doing Mesilas Nefesh, you know Mesilas Nefesh. That is what we're talking about now. That's Taka Yechida. And this is what it means. Living with Mashiach doesn't just mean, it means doing the mitzvahs, starting with Havas Yisrael and Tzedakah, and doing it with higher than Sechel. If you find your Sechel is blocking you, then you have to ask yourself, am I Taka serving the Eibush? I'm serving myself. So Rabbi Chanina, when trying to ask Rabbi Yisrael Kisma, tell me, am I going to have Ilm Haba? So he started telling him, tell me a mice that happened with you. So he says, a mice put him, money got mixed up over there. So he gave all his money he had away for the Anim. Question is, as Adarves Pasha tried had a question, if you know, he was a person, the tzaddik who was Memphis Teda Barabim, I'm saying Nefesh, I'm one of Saram Bagmachs. Why will you have a question if you've been in Hava? And then the Chesed says, if that's the case, then mitamol vetem because he gave away money by putting mitamol. He basically says, "I'll be with you in Elam Haba." What happened over here? Very clear, very simple, really simple. Reb was questioning himself if his learning was coming because he had Morosh Cheder and he liked to learn. And I may be oversimplifying it, but it's not oversimplifying. I think it's very accurate. He didn't, and so in order to figure out, so he wasn't sure where it's coming. Imagine. Because there could be a hidden ra in him that he's doing the Pasha like a person. So how do you find out what's really happening in your heart? So he asked him, tell me a story, Maisa Tut, out of the cant. Tell me a Maisa Habol. Tell me something that you did, and I'll tell you who you are. So he says, yeah, as a matter of fact, Maisa put him. I gave away money. So the Haraya, because giving out money, Morosh Cheder person does not give out money. A Morosh Cheder person is an invert, is involved with himself, and so when mailed, but somebody who's befazing money is somebody who's a Morosh Rabbeinu, an outgoing person. So it's when mailed, when you can see by a person being able to handle two types of Aveda, Sai Morosh Cheder, Sai Morosh Rabbeinu, Haraya, as it comes from Hecher. And the mind is about das, but the same Indian. The idea is, tell me a story of V Lepsto, Vastustu, and I'll tell you who you're holding. If you do, what's the question? Nobody's questioning anybody's nefesh or the dedication to the hashem. We'll listen to come because that's why you're naturally inclined to do things, or you're doing it mitzad Yechida Shabbat Nefesh, you're doing it mitzad yourself. So when the Rebbe says, the emes, what's emes mean? Yechida is emes. When Yechida, it comes out in the kula of emes, and what you see when you're a person is also this is all spoken about the Rebbe's Mamorim. When you see when you're begal the Yechida Shabbat Nefesh, which is etzem, so then the world around you changes. You're talking how do you affect the world? Everybody here was told to speak only about how did you change yourself, but really when you change yourself in such a way. By living with Yechida Shabbat Nefesh, then you're not only changing yourself, everybody around you changes. And I can testify to you the same thing that around me, one of the biggest nisim, I was 8.5 years in a very, very rough place. Many of the years I spent with very, very dangerous people. Once or twice, they reminded me where I was. It was but never ever got hurt. And they had the biggest dercheres for me. And for us, what about me? He had dercheres. I didn't give him any money. I didn't give him. I was never extorted. I didn't give him anything. But when I saw this, when you live with Yechida, what we learn, then not only are you changed and you brought Mashiach into your life, you went out of your Agbolas, the world around you changes along also. How can you tell if you live in Yechida? Dr. Right, 11%. And I see the time flies by in Fabring like this. So I wanted to share one more thing, a small anecdote that happened over there. There were two Yidden. One of the Yidden I encountered over there. He came in, he was very, very depressed. But kids, in the short term, I started learning with him Tanya. And in addition to everything else I was learning with everybody, this guy was far out. So I got to know him a little bit, and I got to know he was involved in this case with somebody else over there. The two Yidden, in this story is two Yidden. Without giving too many details, so you have to know who they are. So he had a saying. He got very involved with. He was trying very hard to get out of prison the legal way. So he was doing his motions about it's called 2055. You go through all the papers and you try to find inyanim that the government did to violate your rights. And he was for years. He was mamish into every aspect of this case, back and forth and back. And he had a saying. The saying was, "I have no time for you. If you have time, if what you're going to tell me is going to help me get out of prison, I'll listen to you, or whatever you want them to do. But if it's not that, I'm dedicated now until I get out with this union." What happens? What happened was him and this other guy got into a fight, and how did I know about it? I wish I had time to say the whole thing. So one of them comes over to me, tells me they got into a squabble, and they couldn't talk to each other. And the person was in danger. If these two fought, was in danger for both of them. But they got so heated up against each other that notwithstanding by them fighting, they could both stay in Golos and they could both be knocked forever. So I tried to appeal to them. So listen, guys, you gotta get. So he hit me. I'm gonna use the same words that you always use on him. I said to him, the other guy came to me and told me about what happened. We have to make peace. So he says, I don't want to hear. If I tell you what it was about, was to lachen. But the Anias, there's Golus. I say, Blaise so Yoffa saying, Anias makes him ugly. So I said, listen, before you get into anything, let me just tell you something. You have a saying that if it's something that's going to help me get out of here, are you ready to hear? If it's something which is not, I don't want to hear. I tell you, listen, stop with your fighting and think about it. You guys are going to fight. You're both going to wind up being here. How is your fighting going to help you get out of here? And that is exactly what he stopped fighting. So I wanted to share with my dear brothers and sisters over here the same tonight. Tonight, as the Iker is to consider mishpacha, you have to have Avos Yisrael. You have to know one guy's pulling to the right, one guy's pulling to the other side, the right. There's two rights. Everybody's right. But Iker, if you have to ask yourself, is this agreement or this different view is going to help us out of Golus? Then it was one thing. But if this disagreement is, if we're both going to be begroven in Golus, what's Tutman? And that is, the Rebbe finishes off the Sicha. And he says, I'm going to make you to be mahir zayin. Listen to the Sechel. I listened to the Sechel many times. I didn't have to until later that before I speak that was echt the Sechel. The Rebbe finishes off to be mahir. I'm going to make you all shluchim mitzvah. I don't know. I looked at the English translation. They take it to shluchim. I don't know why they do it. A shliach means as a kechem shalayach. Baby, sure. Everybody looks at it. The Rebbe says, "I give you back." The Rebbe Hashem is not with us. A mitzvah is the keyach do the mitzvah. The very fact that the Rebbe, in the same sikh, we said, "Give us eich." The Rebbe says, "I'm making you now a shliach to do a mitzvah." Not that you stand between shlichas. That means the Rebbe never said he's not with us. The Rebbe never said that. Would we have keiches to do anything? Or dafke from Bimikusha. So we have to remember that, and that's how you can do besimcha. The ikadem simcha to evolve. Wissen that we are going to see Mashiach, and we're going to get out of Golus, and it should be today. And we have to live. It should never be possible. The fact that we're staying Golus, a day finishes, and we're still in Golus. You have to answer what happened, why we're still here, and then correct everything. It was to everybody to see our Golus'dike and now she's again l'chaim.